Welcome to Salsido Paranormal. I am your host, James Salsido, and tonight I am sharing experiences, true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show at the website, which is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. Uh, Always happy to hear from you all, and that's my old intro. I don't know why I went into that. You can support the show in many different ways. Also, happy to hear from you all as far as I think I know where that came from. I was asking about feedback in the during the break here before the chat started or the show started. You can support the show in many different ways. You can share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platforms. You can sign up for the Patreon and get extra content there for as little as $1 a month. And that is where I will put all future Patreon shows whenever I am able to do them. Uh, you can also check out the merchandise store and get shirts and other items with designs inspired by the podcast made by friends of the show. And please check out links in every episode description to friends of the show. That would be Jen, the Arcane Observer, who has her own channel but also co hosts this show with me on Saturdays, which is always amazing. Uh, they're some of my favorite episodes to do. So I highly recommend those if you haven't checked those out. And also Michael Strange of Trouble Minds Radio and the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where you can hear all kinds of amazing shows 24/7, along with my own, mixed in there as well. And it's all online, and it's all once you not sign up, sign in. I was gonna say sign in because so many things you have to sign in now. Once you go there and check it out through the link in the episode description, you can just press play on it and it'll get you going on that. So, and Mike has also been on some shows before, so on my shows, and I go on his show as well sometimes. But anyway, let me get back to the true stories here, and we'll keep on going with that. So, and I should probably mention that this coming weekend, I will not be recording any shows, but we did record a show last Saturday that will come out this Saturday. Well, this Sunday, I should say, in place of the usual recording of the day before. So, uh, and yeah, I think that's about all I have for now. With that, so let's get back to the true stories here. And find my spot again. Thank you all for being here and listening in. Okay, this is a longer one, so I'm curious to see which one this is. Uh, oh no, I'm sorry, it's not a longer one. It's just might be the one after that that is longer. Anyway, this one says, I moved into a new place a few years ago. It was a sunken basement type where the windows are at ground level, and it took me almost a year to find furniture for it. I had no car, and there was no furniture delivery in the area. Uh, to treat myself, I bought a coffee table I set up in my dining room as an ancestor altar because I didn't really need a kitchen table. I walked out of my bedroom one night to grab a glass of water, and there was a man squatting on top of my table or my altar. He had smoky dark skin with no hair, a sharply tailored burgundy suit, and was very calm but serious. I wasn't even scared. It was like I had been expecting him. So I said, "Hello, it's good to see you." And just then, headlights from the parking lot flooded the room, and he vanished. I think about him all the time and often leave out a very special offering just for him. That's where that one ends. It's a short one, but it's an amazing one because here you have something that you could almost figure someone broke in, at least until the figure vanishes like that. But the writer there wasn't even frightened. And I wonder, was there some kind of contact through the mind that was made without the writer even realizing it? Is that why they felt like they were almost expecting to see this figure or a figure there? Um, I don't know, but I'm glad it wasn't anything frightening. The whole aspect of headlights or lights, when lights turn on, when a room is or a space becomes brighter, the these apparitions or whatever they are, these beings vanishing. I really am curious: is that something that they decide to do, or is it a reaction, or is it caused? Is the vanishing caused somehow by the increase in light in a space? Um, because speaking from experience, I can say light can have pressure in a way, or it has a force to it. Um, and so I wonder, is it just enough to sort of disrupt either the apparition of figures or the apparition itself? I'm really curious about how that works, because that's something you hear about um, every so often, and it's really common in like any kind of I feel like any kind of ghost story fiction TV shows or stories or whatever, and a lot of real life experiences that people have um, talked about as well. Where as soon as you turn on a light in a space, the or a light shows up in a space, if it's headlights, if it's bright enough headlights, the whatever the person was seeing is gone or appears to be gone. I'm really curious about how all that works because, of course, I have no idea. So yeah, I'm not sure. I was right. This next one is a longer one, so we'll get into that. Uh, this one, let me see here. Okay, lost my spot. This one says, "My family, my mom, dad, brother, who is 19, and I, who am 23, and female, have a bobby pin ghost. I would like to preface this by saying we have never spoken with a medium, nor do we have any real proof of our ghost, at least nothing that would signal paranormal activity to anyone outside of my family. But she is very real to us, a sort of phantom grandma in a way. So, anyway, here is our story. I grew up in a large, old Victorian house on a main street. It was built in 1863, and it is considered a historical home in our town. We have never really considered our house to be haunted, but there was definitely a noticeable presence. Sometimes our attic light would switch on while we were out. It was a dial that had to be turned. Or we would see things like a phantom drip, I guess of water, from the ceiling with no visible water to indicate a leak. We learned that an old woman had passed in the home, but we don't know any further details about about her. Anyway, no one in my family wears bobby pins. This is an important detail. We would occasionally find them around the house, which was always odd because, as I said, no one in our family ever purchased any. We would have company over, but they would never come upstairs. And despite this, bobby pins would sometimes appear on dressers, on our staircases, or behind couches when we rearranged the furniture. It wasn't until I got a bit older that we started to notice a pattern. We would only find bobby pins before a significant life change or a piece of news. My dad found one in the work bathroom, uh, his work bathroom, so I guess the bathroom at work, before a significant layoff. He only works with a handful of people, all men, and even asked his coworkers if one of them knew why it would be in the bathroom. They had no clue. We found a bobby pin right before winning a radio contest for an all expenses paid trip to Canada. While there, our hotel had a pool. My dad grabbed us some towels and jumped in with my brother and I. When we got out, there was a bobby pin sitting on top of our towels. We were the only people in the pool, and I don't think it would have gone unnoticed when he grabbed them, the towels. This was the first time we all really felt that our grandma ghost was real and with us. There were a lot more of these events, and bobby pins have become a sort of welcomed indicator of change or good vibes for us. Weirdly, my dad also found a bobby pin on the floor while touring our current house. And as odd as it sounds, it felt like his sign that it was the right decision. Even after moving, our bobby pin ghost has followed us. When I first moved into college, there was a bobby pin sitting on my mattress. At the end of the year, I decided to drop out, and on my last day of classes, a bobby pin was literally taped to my door. I had never shared this story with anyone, so this honestly left me feeling a little freaked out, since the bobby pins were always sort of my dad's thing. I have since graduated from that same college after switching majors, and I have found a bobby pin in every single dorm that I've lived in, sometimes multiple throughout the year, including one on the day of graduation. I'm sharing this today because I had a job interview this week and I am feeling super good about it. They are supposed to get back to me this afternoon, and oddly enough, I just found a bobby pin on my walk into work. Maybe it's nothing, or maybe it's a sign from our ghost grandma that some good news is on its way. If you've made it this far, thank you for reading. If anyone has any questions, either for me or my dad, I would love to hear them. That's from a post, so you can't really do that, but and they say they plan on sharing this with them, and so they go on from there. But that's basically the end of that account or that experience. That is amazing to me. Uh, it doesn't sound so often you hear about spirits, what people think of as spirits, that seem to be attached to places, but other times they don't, and they seem to be able to move around. And it sounds like this one, whoever this was able to do that. I mean, different places in the same college, a hotel in a completely different country. I'm really curious: is uh, this consciousness, this ghost or spirit, are they did they attach to someone, or can they literally are they literally just following, or even going back and forth between family members, checking on them, and then when something is going to come up, uh, they leave one of these things, these bobby pins, behind, and as a sign of some kind. I'm really curious about that because that is just a ton of experiences, and they didn't even they said they didn't even include all of them. I wonder if the other events in the house, the light turning on, and the weird, the water thing too is also strange, where people would see something. I wonder if it just looked like water, and it was just some kind of a really faint orb that somehow went came down from the ceiling and went down to the floor and vanished. Or if it was some kind of water. I mean, there's a story I shared a little while back about someone who had experiences with water just materializing around them at different points in their life in different locations. So I can't if that's happening to one person where it's enough to soak a room, this is just manifesting, then why can't one drop show up and then be just gone? I don't know. Um, so yeah, I thought that was an amazing one and wanted to share that. And it's another example of something I really enjoy with all these doing these shows, where it's not anything negative. It's not anyone out to get or scare or harm anyone. Uh, it's this friendly and positive presence that is leaving this one item as signs of a sort. So I thought that was amazing. Moving on here, this next one says, so a couple of years back, I was leaving my then girlfriend's house around 3 in the morning. As soon as I stepped outside, the air felt strange, like something was off, but I can't describe it. It just felt eerie. Then I heard a woman crying, and it sounded like it was maybe a block away, and it was a small street, so it was a small block. All the animals nearby were going wild. Dogs barking and howling, and the cats kept meowing very loudly. I had come out from the back door, and by the time I got to the front yard, suddenly I hear uh, that same woman crying, that same crying woman, there we go, words are hard, scream. But it was a scream that didn't even sound normal. It sounded like the stereotypical ghost screams from the movies, but more real in a sense. And when she screamed, all the animals went completely silent, and the air just got heavy. That's as good as I can describe it. That's when I bolted to my car and sped out of there. For some reason, that has still been in my head after all this time. What do you think? Did I encounter La Llorona? I'm probably saying that wrong. Or is it just a coincidence? And that is uh, a famous sort of. It's said to be a legend or a folk legend, I believe, about this woman um, that basically was cheated on by the husband, if I'm not remembering right. And I forgot to look this up beforehand. And found out and went basically insane, according to the legend. Because, of course, in all so many legends, it's always the woman that is not sound of mind, which is just also irritating. And supposedly uh, decided to, unfortunately, and this is not something I ever recommend, uh, end her own life and the lives of her children. And there's more to it than that, but since then, and because of this, and or maybe to explain this, these kinds of weird experiences people have with a woman who is heard or seen and or heard crying and or screaming, especially in, I believe it's the southwest part of the U.S. and in parts of Mexico, even I believe. Um, this is the legend that is associated with that. So now I have not heard of the animals acting in that way associated with that legend. I'm really curious, was it that? Or, and this is another thing I wonder, because I've also heard similar accounts of um, creatures, cryptids, who can also scream, and it sounds like a person, possibly a woman, uh, and their own very presence either causing all the animals in the area to go crazy, or just be loud for a while, or just silencing them completely. So I wonder, since the writer there didn't see anything, was it what they thought it was, which I understand it's possible, or was it something else entirely? And there's no real way to know that. So um, that's why all this is so amazing. Because as I've said before, I think in the last week or two, no one person can ever take in all the information on anomalous experiences out there in their lifetime. There's just way too much. So when people have ideas about what they've experienced, uh, it's understandable if that's what they found when they did research, or if that's what they heard from family or friends. It's understandable that they would have this idea about what happened because, according to their set of information that they have available to them at the time, they could match what the experience could match what they think of as that. But then you have other people that know other things, heard of other things, and you put all that together, and that's where things can be uh, complicated and interesting in that way. Because again, if you haven't, if that person never looked into anything to do with creatures or monsters or cryptids or whatever you want to call those, um, they might not know about that aspect of screams or talking from other beings out there. So let's get at least one more in here, and then we'll stop for this episode. This one says, I had a really strange experience tonight, and I'm still processing it. I was walking back from my mom's empty house. She's on a vacation. Uh, through a quiet suburban street. It was getting dark. The street was very calm, almost liminal, you might say. And that's something that's sort of on the edge or in between things. And it can be physical places, it can be parts of your life. That's sort of what that phrase, from what I understand, it means. So, continuing on, I had one earbud in my right ear, but it wasn't playing anything yet. Out of nowhere, I distinctly heard someone whisper, hello. Actually, it's another word that means hello in an informal way in Polish. But I don't know how to say it, so I'm not going to try. It's H-E, is that? Yeah, that's a J-K-A. So, right, and they said that they heard it right behind them. It says right behind me in my left ear. I jumped because it was so sudden. But when I turned around, the street was empty. No one there at all. Not in the street, not in the balconies uh, or windows. It was eerie, like right next to my ear. Almost like that situation when a friend sees you in public and sneaks up on you to say hi and surprises you. It was a warm, gentle whisper, not threatening at all. I've been dealing with the depressive episodes this year, and weirdly, this felt reassuring. My grandma has had similar experiences in her life. For example, a couple of years ago, she heard a whisper saying, "Don't go there," when exploring the old town in the city once and trying to go into an old gate. She turned back right away. She believes in psychic messages and life after death, so I'm wondering if this could be something spiritual. Has anyone else experienced something like this? A sudden whisper or greeting when no one is around? I can't shake the feeling that it meant something important. And that's where that one ends. And could be. And that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you all for listening. And I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.